It's a hobby of mine, really, to, yes, Pepper. Yes, Pepper. It's my cat. Hello. Hi, I'm Katie. Um, this is my first video, so bear with me. I'm a little nervous. This is my new channel. It's called the Fishcake Valentine. I know that's kind of weird, but um, I'll explain that in a minute. I am a girl who likes to collect old things. I like old letters, I like photos, anything really old I find fascinating. A lot of the things that I collect come from flea markets. Sometimes I get things from the Goodwill, I get things from eBay, Etsy, anywhere I can find them, even used bookstores. I found some really interesting things there, which is coming up. So I've decided to start this channel because it's become a hobby of mine to connect random things to the real life people who own them. You really can find a lot about people nowadays online with the the census records being online, and there's Ancestry, there's FamilySearch.org, even FindAGrave.com, which sounds morbid, but it actually has a lot of information that that has become really useful to me in finding out who people are. It's really quite interesting. These were real life people. They were interesting, they were complex, and somehow their possessions ended up in my possession. And I just think that it's always interesting to find out who they are and maybe, kind of remember them. Because if you think about it, in 100 years, your photos and, your keepsakes, who's gonna have them? I mean, maybe you'll have children, maybe you'll have relatives, maybe you'll have someone to give it to, but a lot of times that doesn't happen. And then it gets just thrown away or given away or lost. And it's really sad, because someone once held those so dear. They held on to them their whole life, and then suddenly they, obviously left their body, or they're no longer living, and who's going to remember them? And if you think about it, in 100 years, no one's going to know your name or mine, unless you have family members, of course. So I've decided to learn as much as I can about these random items and present them to you. So the name, okay, I know it's a little weird and maybe even a little saccharine, but it represents my maternal lineage, my grandmother and my mother, two halves of the name. The Fishcake Valentine is in honor of my mother, Debbie. I loved her so much. She was my favorite person in the world. She passed away when I was 23, which, believe it or not, is 10 years ago this May. I had a very special bond with her. Me and her had the same sense of humor. We hung out all the time. We spent all our time together, and it has kind of been a hole in my life now after she left. But I will always have the memories. So far, she's been the love of my life, so hopefully that'll change. Now, okay, for the first half, fish cake, my grandma, Jeanette, she used to call my mom Debbie, Deborah Fishcake. Now, I thought that was pretty cute. It really illustrates their bond and the love that they had for each other. And those are the things that I love to hear, and I find sentimental and I hold dear to my heart. So that was the first half of the name. It's unusual, and I don't think a lot of people, have that name. So I thought, why not? Now the second half of the name, Valentine, that is related to a memory of my mom and me. I must have been around 5 or 6 years old. It was, of course, Valentine's Day, around about that time. And, in school, when you get to decorate your little shoebox, and everyone gives you, little valentines and puts them in your little slot. Of course, everyone is forced to give everyone a valentine, but, when it came time to decorate my shoebox, obviously I didn't have the skills to do that. Mom she decided, being the crafty woman that she is, that she was going to use, you know, aluminum foil. She wrapped it up in aluminum foil, you know. I think she glued on some doilies. I'm not really sure about that, but then she took 2 pink balloons and she blew them up and she made them into a heart and she taped them to the top of the box. And I just thought that was the most magical thing in the world. I thought my box was the best. I was so excited. And I just remember thinking, wow, like, I can't believe that she could do this for me. She made this for me. I think that's so wonderful. And, you know, as an adult looking back, it's only aluminum foil. It's only balloons and doilies. But to me, it was the most beautiful box that I've ever seen. And so, of course, Valentine is also like a play on words like cards and letters, and, you know, that's part of my shtick here. So, you know, the Fishcake Valentine is a very unique name, and it's very unique to me. Obviously, it's a little saccharine, a little sweet, and all my videos aren't going to be like, you know, super sweet and super nice and, you know, everything's roses, but, you know, sometimes they will be. So for this first video, I am going to explore these cards that I got from a flea market. If you are from Delaware, you'll know Willie's. Now, I had gone to a flea market there that they had back in September 30th, I think. And just about a month later, it burned down to the ground, and it's really a shame. If you've ever been to Willie's, it's wonderful. It has all these decorations. It has, you know, flowers. It has, you know, it had everything. It had like apples. It was a wonderful place to go. So one Saturday, September 30th, they were holding this flea market outside, and I went, and I was very excited because you know how I like to collect old things, and I was looking for, you know, more stuff for my channel, because I've been thinking about doing this for a while. At the flea market, there were several people set up. I walked around, and soon I found what I was looking for. There was a person selling these cards. They had all kinds of vintage things, but these cards in a box caught my eye. They were red and white boxes, and when I opened them, they were these really adorable cards, and very personal, sweet messages between Tommy and Rosie. Or I call her Rosie, but just says Rose. But so I was very interested in learning more about them. It turns out the person who was selling them was their daughter. And so I was very excited because I got to know their names. Her name is Patty. So if you're watching this, Patty, hi, how are you? She gave me her number, so I'm going to give her a call soon. Maybe I'll ask her more questions. I told Patty that I was going to start this YouTube channel. I was thinking about it. And she said, you know, I think you're onto something. I think people will like that. So I think it's just right that the cards that she sold to me and the other items that came with it that I'll show you soon will be my first video. And I'm going to call it La Vie en Rose because a lot of these were Valentine's Day cards and first anniversary cards. And also her mom was named Rose, so how cute. I'm hoping that this video comes out on Valentine's Day. I do have a day job that I have to go to, of course, which I actually have to go to today, so hopefully I can squeeze in this filming. Without further ado, here's my first story.